In a world that moves too fast, this is your invitation to pause, to explore the space between thought and wonder, where science meets story and emotion meets insight. Here, curiosity is more than a question. It's a way of being. You found your corner of calm and contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.
Let me start with a question that might land a little close to home. Have you ever tried to build habits for the life you wish you had instead of the life that you're actually living? The version of life where you have endless energy, your body always cooperates, your schedule has tons of space, and, well, nothing unexpected happens. Because that's the life most habit advice is actually written for. But there's real life. That life with, responsibilities, health issues, emotional labor, screaming kids or kid interruptions, long days, difficult jobs, limited energy. And when we try to force real life into unrealistic systems, we don't feel motivated. We feel like failures. Hi nerds, I'm Dr. Angel and this is Food for Thought Friday. This month, we've been walking through atomic habits together. Not from a hustle culture lens, but from a mental health perspective that honors real life. We've talked about small changes and identity and environment and shame. And if you missed any of the episodes in this series, I will link them up here so you can get caught up. Today, I want to close the series with something deeply personal, but very important. Habits only work when they support the life you're actually living. Not the life you compare yourself to, not the life you think you should be able to handle. So many people don't struggle with habits. They struggle with expectations. They say things like, I should be more productive. I should have more energy. I should be able to do this by now. But when we slow down and really look at their lives, their expectations don't match the reality. They're parenting and caregiving and managing chronic stress or living with anxiety or depression or trauma or health issues. And yet, they're trying to follow advice built for people who aren't managing all those things at the same time. That disconnect creates shame, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because the system you're trying to use just doesn't fit your life. I once worked with someone who kept trying to wake up at 5 a.m. Every article said this was the key to success. Every podcast she listened to praised it. Every influencer she listened to made waking up at 5 a.m. look so effortless. But this person was already running on empty. She was caring for others all day long. She was not sleeping well, and her nervous system was so maxed out. Every morning she failed to wake up early. That self-talk got harsher. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do this? Why do I have no discipline? Eventually, she just stopped trying altogether. And not because she didn't want the growth, but because that habit was actually causing her harm. However, when we stopped and we redesigned her routine to fit, her actual capacity, something shifted for her. We didn't have her wake up earlier. Instead, we had her go to bed earlier. We decided to build habits around rest instead of force. And suddenly, consistency started feeling more possible. At its core, Atomic Habits is not about doing more. It's about alignment. When habits align with your values, your energy, your season of life. They feel supportive instead of punishing. But when habits are built on comparison, pressure, or the shoulds, they eventually collapse because your nervous system will always choose safety over performance. I want to share something from my own life. I'm a business owner, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I live with a chronic health condition that regularly steals my energy. For a long time, I believed pushing through was the strength. I took pride in my body, trying to defy what the doctors would say, trying to ignore my limits. It almost felt like this badge of honor when a doctor would say, I just don't know how you're doing it with your condition. Actually, I took that as proof that I was doing something right. But here's the truth that I had to face. I wasn't strong. I was overriding myself. And overriding yourself always comes at a cost. Eventually, I had to learn something very uncomfortable. Truth and grace, they're not opposites. The truth was, I have limitations. The truth was, I have big dreams. The problem wasn't my dreams. The problem was that I was trying to pursue them in a way that was just not sustainable for my body or for my life. I had to stop and regroup. Not quit, not give up, just adjust. Adjustment didn't look dramatic. It looked like learning how to rest without guilt. I started using the Pomodoro timer on the weekends. I would rest for 20 minutes and then I'd get up on work on a project for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'd rest again for 20 or 30 minutes. Short cycles, low pressure, listening to my body instead of forcing my body. And something really surprising started happening. Honestly, I started getting more done. And it wasn't because I was pushing harder, because I wasn't. It was because I was staying regulated. I was honoring myself, my energy, and my body. Another example is eating healthier. I wanted so bad to be able to eat better. However, I work long days and I have a long commute home. And by the time I walk through the door, I want to eat and hit the bed. I'm done. I'm exhausted. My energy, my battery's drained very, very low. So cooking was not going to happen after work. It just wasn't. And then I tried the crock pot meal thing, but honestly, that even felt like too much energy for me. It wasn't about discipline. It just wasn't realistic for me. So instead of shaming myself, I asked, what could I do? What could I do to make this easier, to make this happen? And I researched and I found different solutions. And one of the answers I found actually was pretty simple. I started ordering healthy frozen meals from a meal prep company that was local. You know, those heat and eat one portion, 4 minutes or less, and it worked. I was eating healthier. I was eating dinner. I was honoring my limitations, but I was also wanting to meet that expectation for myself. That one change shifted everything. Not because I suddenly had more motivation, because I didn't, but because I stopped demanding more than I had to give. Here's what I realized. I wasn't missing my goals because I lacked drive. I was missing them because I wasn't trying to live a life that just was not authentic to my body, my values, my lifestyle. Once I got curious instead of critical, it gave me the space to start making changes that I started finding solutions that actually worked. And it wasn't the first solution most of the time. It was multiple different ones. I try this and I say, oh, how did this work? Well, this part worked, this part didn't. What can I shift next time? It was curiosity. It was exploring what was really happening. I'll give you another example. I have a lot this year because I've really wanted to learn how to slow it down and honor my body. And so this year I really wanted to start a walking habit. And I wanted to be able to increase my walking as we're moving into the new year. It's something that I've been gradually adding into my life, very short spurts. But I also knew I have a lot of obstacles. I had my time, my energy. I live in Florida. The weather is always an obstacle. It's either too hot or it's raining. It's unpredictable. It would get dark early because we're sitting here in winter, or sometimes it just wasn't convenient for me. I wasn't going to be the girl that could drive to the gym and go get on a treadmill for walking. It wasn't going to happen. So instead of pretending that those obstacles didn't exist, I designed around those obstacles. So I ordered a walking pad. I joined a virtual race, and now I can walk in a way that fits my life without any added stress or any added shame. And that's what habit design looks like in real life. And here's something I really, really want to say clearly. I do not do this perfectly. I miss a few days and I don't spiral. I don't punish myself. I don't let those old tapes come up and tell me that I'm a failure. I stay regulated. I notice. I get curious. I ask, what did my body need? What was happening around me? What's really going on? And when things worked for me again, I resumed that habit. I might miss a day or two. I might miss a week or two. It's okay. No pressure, no shame, just gentleness, self-love. And that's a really important thing to cultivate in our life. Habits are not about becoming someone else. They're about supporting the life you already have with honesty, with compassion, with flexibility. Balance and peace don't come after success. They're the soil that allows success to grow. If this series resonated, if you've seen yourself in these stories, I've created a workbook to help you put this approach into practice in realistic and in compassionate ways. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about understanding patterns and designing habits that fit your life. You'll find the link in the description, and I also have the QR code on the screen if that's easier for you. No pressure, just support if you want something to walk alongside you. If this episode or series has been meaningful to you, I would really appreciate it if you would like this channel and share it and subscribe so others who might need it can find it. This is how conversations reach people who feel like they're failing when they're really just being human. I want to thank you for walking through this series with me. I don't have it all figured out. I'm just walking alongside you, learning as I go too. And as always, stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy. That's a wrap. See you next week.
You found your corner of calm and contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy. Nerdy.